I cut myself. And they put me in a cell. They take all your clothes. They say it's for your own good so you won't hurt yourself. Nobody ever asked me why I cut myself. They came back 3 days later. You gonna hurt yourself? Well, no, because by then I went out of the cell. But if I was still a danger to myself, they wouldn't have known that. I could have lied to get out of the cell.
My sugar was like dropping. I had sciatica, and an injury that I didn't even know about due to the violence of the abuse of marriage.
Black wombs in this country do not have any dignity because it's not protected. I have to tell you to not shackle me during childbirth. I'm literally breaking, it's like breaking 300 bones at the same time.
1 time for that count time, 2 times for that child time, 3 times for that order, 4 times for that man, 1 time for that yarding, 2 times for that mail call, 3 times for the lights out, 4 times for that lockdown.
What I remember most about processing into the state correctional institution is that it was my birthday. It was my 30th birthday.
One of the things that sticks out to me is there was a girl, Tasha, and she wasn't there very long. She kept getting sent back from medical because a nurse kept telling her she was faking, there wasn't nothing wrong with her. I worked at laundry, and I remember seeing her on the walkway, and she looked not okay. She was very, I'm not going to say weak to where she was all the way to the ground, but I mean, the girl wasn't walking too well, and she didn't have any assistance. She was walking alone, and you know, the walkways are big from medical to D unit. And I was like, Tosh, what's the matter? You know, she said the nurse's name, and she said, she called her a few choice words, but this girl could barely breathe, and she says there's nothing wrong with me. And so the last words that I heard her gurgle out, like she couldn't, that's how angry she was, that her last breaths were of that, you know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. And that girl died that day.
Remember, my daughter was breached like right before my due date, and Dr. Wessel, goodness, I remember her telling me like, oh, I'm just gonna have to go in there and just turn her the other way. I'm like, you just gonna go in there and turn her the other way? No equipment, no nothing. She just like, I'm just gonna go up in you and turn her the other way. I'm like, I'm good. Like,
I was in solitary confinement during my stay. The longest time I stayed in solitary confinement was 5 months.
That's a long time.
Yes. My time in solitary confinement did have effects on my mental health. I remember returning to the campus and being overwhelmed by that small amount of people around me. I suffered like a deprivation, I want to say.
It was my first time going to solitary confinement. I went in, I remember being 142 in weight when I went in. I used to always monitor my weight because I always wanted to be bigger. I was so skinny. And I went in 142, I came out 116, and I only did 60 days. I was malnourished, I looked like a crackhead. I remember not wanting to go outside because they would put the tether on you to take you outside, and I never wanted to feel like a dog, so I remember like not even wanting to go outside to get like no sun or no air or nothing, because I was like, I refuse to be treated like a dog, like I'm gonna just stay in.
So many people are leaving prison with diseases they didn't come in with. From drinking the water to eating the food to just not getting proper care.
And I've witnessed it myself. I've literally witnessed people saying, yo, it's something wrong, going to sick call every day, losing all kinds of weight, super sick. And I've witnessed the guard say, that doctor's telling them there's nothing wrong with you, there's nothing wrong with you. Every resource that they could possibly use to try and, get attention on their plight, and they keep saying there's nothing wrong until they're already terminal, until it's already too late. And now all of a sudden y'all discover this cancer all through their bodies.
When I carried mama, also had to have a full hysterectomy because I had fibroid cysts. After serving 18 and a quarter years in prison, I'm just now getting cysts. The cyst was the size of a lemon.
And it's like, oh damn, so you couldn't see it until it ravished my entire fucking body.
Right.
I've seen it happen so many times, especially with lifers and like the deliberate indifference to the healthcare. It's like in their minds, you're gonna die here anyway.
Right.
So let's speed up the process.
Right.
That's really how they look at it. There's no sense in saving you. There's no value in your life.
Right.
And that is such a juxtaposition to the actual value of lifers in prison. They run the prisons majority. Like they run the most delicate, the mail rooms and shit like that. They depend on them for the most dependable things, and also the youth and the people who are short-termers and all the other stuff depend on them too.
Right.
They're mentors to thousands of fucking women, So the way they treat them so worthless in the medical is so much different than how they're treated in the actual prison. The prison doesn't even function properly without the lifers and what they do.
Right.
You go to prison, it's, a lot of emotions. You can't sleep. You have wandering thoughts, and they let you see psych, and right away they want to give you a sleeping pill. So you're like, okay, I'm not going to get to see the psych for the next 6 weeks because you know how long it took to get the first appointment. So you just take the pills.
I was offered psychotropic meds while I was inside, but I always refused them because I was scared of them. I had seen the effects of them on other inmates. They had a whole unit named Newman, and it seemed like it was just housing a bunch of people that were experiments. They walked different, they talked different. They seemed like they were like their own little entity over there of science experiments. And I didn't want to be one of those.
They really give you whatever you want. It can mess you up mentally, physically. Like Miss Ivy said, don't keep prescribing medications, like maybe brief counseling and different programs to help with different emotional support and stuff. But just prescribing medication is just ridiculous.
They offer appointments each week for psychological issues where you could go and you could talk out your problems, but I didn't feel I was getting much help from that. And then it would be, oh, well, I'll talk to the doctor and then, see the doctor again. And, oh, well, try this. This might help. And then there you go with another psych med.
I promise you this, scariest shit that ever exists is being in prison while physically sick. And if you got life to them, you already dead. Hopefully it'll be quick. I see my Sully start taking the meds. Shit fucked me up when she seemed to forget. In a year's time she was slobbering, spitting, playing and shit. I promise you still, scariest shit that I seen on the hill. Being in prison and mentally ill, where they kill your will. Day after day, pill after pill. You go bananas and slip on a pill. Stuck on this flame and can't win an appeal. Can't even feel, so you really can't heal. Word to can't heal, ill. The infirmary, smelling like blood in a murder scene. Mixed with neglect, no sense of respect. We dying from no sense of urgency. We die from deliberate indifference, standard procedures and routine surgeries. We dying from constantly being denied these services purposely. Until we are ill in this terminally. Boy, this shit really murder in first degree. Screaming in vain, they don't believe in our pain. It's like we ain't bleeding the same. Serving our time, equate to deserving to die. Freedom we'll see in the grave. Wish they was free at the gate. Only way they can escape, let's see what remains. As families receiving remains. I promise you this, scariest shit that ever exists. Being in prison while physically sick. And if you got life to them, you already dead. Hopefully it'll be quick. I see my Sully start taking the meds. Shit fucked me up when she seemed to forget. In a year's time she was slobbering, spitting, playing and shit. I promise you still, scariest shit that I seen on the hill. Being in prison and mentally ill, where they kill your will. Day after day, through pill after pill. You go bananas and slip on a pill. Stuck on the slam and can't win an appeal. Can't even feel, so you really can't heal. Or you can't heal.
Woke up this morning, distinct feeling I'm yawning. Sink spilling, I'm drawing. Deep in thought, count time calling. The voices wasn't distorted, and my birth wasn't abortion. Speaking in tongues to the daily departed, telling me death is around the corner. Feet swing in the morning, guards calling the corner. Blood dripping on the floor is Billie Holiday chorus. Reminiscing of a lynching, suspect turned victim. Judgments and convictions, politicians building prisons. And mamas missing their children's and papa's opinions. They got regrets from bad decisions. The odds were stacked against them. Third strike them cause they poverty stricken. Instance of sentencing, black from poor conditioning. Same slave, new imprisonment.
I promise you this, scariest shit that ever exists. Being in prison while physically sick. And if you got life to them, you already did. Hopefully it'll be quick. I see my cellie start taking the meds. Shit fucked me up when she seemed to forget. And it gets time she was slobbering as a bitch playing this shit. Promise you still, scariest shit that I seen on the hill. Being in prison and mentally ill, where they kill your will. Day after day, through pill after pill. You put bananas and slept on a pill. Stuck in a slam and can't win a pill. Can't even feel, so you really can't heal. Work to Camp Hill, ill.
As you know, many women are mothers, like 80% of incarcerated women are actually mothers of children. And so then what happens is this horrible vicious cycle starts, whereby the mother's taken away from their children. Sometimes the mother is the only caregiver for those children. So the children get cycled into the foster care system.
I met my mom when I was 5 years old. My mom was locked up when I was born. The experience was new, cause I was used to being with my other family. I feel like I ain't know her. Everything was new, and I really didn't like her. But I already was mad. So once you left again and you told me you wasn't gonna go nowhere again, it was kind of like a smack in the face.
And we see these police shootings and everything. You know, a person's last words are they want their mum. I mean, the mum tends to be the one that people rely on most in life. Rip a child's mother away and put them in prison unnecessarily when there could be supports in community to support that family is really a crime, because you're setting up the whole next generation for exactly the same set of problems, and it's got to be stopped, not perpetuated.
I always felt like I'd never go to jail. That's how I always felt. And then went to placement, but I feel like I know how to move smart enough to not get caught in certain things.
Generally speaking, when you face the sentencing judge, you're either sentenced to probation and off to a probation officer you went, or you were sentenced to incarceration and off to the Department of Correction you went. 97% or so get out and off to a parole officer you go. And after the incarceral period, off to a probation officer you go. And the next time that judge that sentenced you sees you is in probation or parole, are so frustrated they opine revocation, or you caught a new case and the issue is a detainer, or you caught a new conviction. In those three situations, the next time you see the judge that sentenced you, it's time to punish you again. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you maintain a system of mass incarceration.
A lot of these charges, women shouldn't be in prison in the first place, like the judge said. I'm a mental health professional, 25 years, in multi-occurring disorders. Most people just need help. And when you live in a society that continues to marginalize communities of color, continues to disinvest in communities of color, continue to deny human rights to people of color in marginalized communities, then you're going to continue to see an influx of people going to prison just because they can put them there.
I feel like I was robbed of a lot I'm not going to say that it was a complete waste of time. I got clean because of it. I had a great relationship with my daughters, thank God. I met some amazing people, but it robbed me of trying to figure out who I was for so long, and because the justice system so unjust, I feel like the time that I got was way overboard, and I believe that was because I was the female of the three of us, my co-defendants and myself.
Women's rates of incarceration are going up, and men's rates of incarceration are going down, which is very strange because women are not committing more crimes than men. They're just being disproportionately punished.
What is going on? Black man kills black trans woman, then everyone moves on like they forgot. But black mothers of the slain, they cannot. They weep nightly sobs that rock their bodies to sleep. Shots of Remy as we remember her mother's seed. Remy, rest in peace. Remy, rest in peace. Remy falls, rest in peace. Don't it seem peculiar? White policeman kills black girl in her living room. Rip Brianna. The other day, a man gets out of jail and executes his baby mama. Imagine having the evening news revealing it's your loved one. Facebook saying they discovered the body of somebody you hugged once. Someone whose smile actually reaches their eyes. This ain't war, this is black gender genocide. Black gender genocide, black gender genocide. The only words to describe are social death, gendercide. Men with knives, guns, and thorns, traumas reborn that never healed in the sun. They never licked their wounds, festered in ooze of addictions and abusive fathers, absent but bruises present. Broken dishes in the kitchen, mourn the mornings. Eggs, toast, and linoleum. Coffee like a kaleidoscope. Spread across the wall again. Hands clenched in favor of swelling lips. Bloody teeth, eyelids swole shut. Big cheeks, drenched in tears. How could I feel safe if I'm afraid of who's protecting me? So you could rape and beat me even if you're sleeping next to me. Inflated egos busting at seams, surviving your hurricanes so you can make believe that this is what it means to be free. So you could own my body and commodify me brave and cowardly while you pretend to be somebody else. Black master that never mastered yourself. Swear you always looking for your next thrill. Society sugar-coated, mixed with ingrained fear. Liquor breath, cheers turn to hands and bouts. Fist from thin air, pulling on clouds. Knock that proud right out your mouth. Her gender pronoun, oppressed from auction blocks. Held upstairs in bedrooms. Close the doors on tombs as doors locked. The destruction that don't heal from battle wounds. Pass through wombs. Black gender genocide. Black gender genocide. Black gender genocide. The only words to describe our social death. Gendercide. Gendercide.
Originally, it was a 12-piece bill that 12 different legislators essentially introduced their own piece. But we actually demonstrated co-governance. Formerly incarcerated women and TGNC folks went to these legislators and said, hey, we want this to be in this bill. Now that the bill is passed, they're not going to come back and say, oh, make sure you know your rights.
Right.
Because if your loved one is shackled, what do? They're going to violate. No one sees them when they're in the prisons. No one sees how these guards do or how these, wardens do. They don't get to see that treatment. But when that violation happens, and it's going to happen, so we can hold them accountable for that violation. I think that's beyond being symbolic. That's what the law is supposed to do.
A lot of us who were incarcerated weren't showing care. Self-care, care for loved ones, anything. And we weren't taught as a race to communicate and say, I feel like this, and when this happened to me, it affected me this way. We have to be taught that. So I don't think giving people medication should be the first alternative to addressing what potentially may be mental health issues or emotional issues.
So I think if it could be a better system for everybody and the right people be locked up, I feel like everybody should know that the jails are definitely not equipped to take care of the elderly people.
I remember Todd Haskins dying on the floor of the infirmary. I remember Pat Fagan going to the dentist and never coming back. I remember Kim Joines being diagnosed and treated for a medical condition that she did not have. I remember Joe Butler sitting in an infirmary waiting to be seen, begging me to ask someone to turn the lights off because the lights was giving her a headache. I remember Jesse Alexandra getting a compassionate release to come home. And health started to improve, and they threatened to put her back in jail because she didn't die within 90 days of being released. So she was stuck in a purgatory where if she got worse, she would die, and if she got better, she would go back to slavery. And I remember her daughter telling her, Mom, rest. And now she rests.
For people that don't have anybody out there, I can speak for them right now and tell you that there are people suffering tremendously, and it's heartbreaking.
I may not agree on all this other stuff, but everybody believes no pregnant mother should be in solitary confinement.
Agreed.
It's just humanity. I mean, we are in this together, and whatever is putting women, children, families down is ultimately affecting the oppressors as much as the oppressed. We've got to restore the humanity of all defendants, of all the accused, of all the families involved by actually answering the needs of what got people there in the first place.
We have a lot of conversation about being trauma informed. I don't want nobody being trauma informed. I need people to be trauma responsive. Right. Being informed and understanding that people have some things that happen in their life isn't enough. How are we going to shift our systems, our programs, our organizations, our community so that we can love up on the people that need it so much, right? People are not throwaway, and in the city, that is really the space that we've been in, which is why we can just throw folks into all kinds of conditions. But instead of really looking at what is it that people really need support, what happened to them, not what they did.
Attica State Prison came to a tragic end this morning. Negotiations gave way to force, and at least 37 men died. 9 guards and 28 prisoners, making this the bloodiest prison incident the country has seen in 4 decades.
Meet us in the yard, we got the guards, including the Sarge, only on with our hearts, but we need to talk. We got the mans, blood on our hands, last resort of our plan. Gotta meet us in the yard. We got the guards, including the Sarge, only on with our hearts. We need to talk. We got the mans, blood on our hands, last resort of our plan. First thing we need is amnesty for this calamity. Can you guarantee that we'll make it home to our family? Inhumanity is the lens in which you branded me. Expecting different results is insanity. Crazy. We demand adequate medical, I seen several. Residents died due to negligence, it's unethical. We demanding in the slave labor, we professionals. Working electrical, but not a dime of the revenue. We demanding in the political persecution. The 13th time they amended the Constitution. Strictly for institutions, keep our necks in these nooses, yeah. Slow death in its execution, Allow us to form a union. If productive citizens is the goal, you gotta prove it then. We got demands, gotta take a stand. Shame on this country once again for forcing our hand. But meet us in the yard, we got the guards, including the Sarge. Only armed with our hearts, but we need to talk. We got the men's, blood on our hands, last resort of our plan. Gotta meet us in the yard. We got the guards, including the Sarge. Only armed with our hearts, but we need to talk. We got the man's blood on our hands, last resort of our plan. We demand legal representation to see parole. And every one of them seats should be filled through a vote. We demand accountability. CEOs want control, bring their problems into work from their homes, and we prone to be bound. Laying prone in a hole on a stone where it's cold. System of a low, system of a throne. We need more diversity in the hierarchy. Black and brown people in authority that I can see. This is more reality. Old white men reigning over the society, normalize the proprieties. Am I developing traits that align with oppressors? Am I enveloped in hate, society's reflection? Shit, it's like we need to revolt, we need to vote, we need to do both. It's like a boat needing a hold. So we done went from trees with the rope to knees to the throat. And then this road taking its toll, they gotta meet us in the yard. We got the guards, including the Sarge, only armed with our hearts. We need to talk, we got the men's, blood on our hands, last resort of our plan. Gotta meet us in the yard. We got the guards, including the Sarge, only armed with our hearts. We need to talk. We got the men's, blood on our hands, last resort of our plan. Meet us in the yard, Meet us in the yard, They gotta meet us in the yard,
We urgently demand immediate negotiations through William M. Kunstler, attorney at law.
We want the federal judiciary to guarantee complete amnesty to each and every one of us. We must be transferred to livable conditions. This is all we want.
We want to stop slave labor here. We want to allow all New York State prisoners to be politically active without intimidation or reprisal. We want true religious sanctity. We are political prisoners trapped in an economic trap by sin because of color by sin.
Those who are tired of the racist exploitation and brutalization of black people in this country, we have developed here what is called a revolutionary conscience. And we're going to exercise our consciousness in reality.
We want a judicial shield and a continuing restraining order until the litigation is finally ended, without any reprisals or brutality against any inmates of this institution.